That's awesome. 36-year anniversary for Keith and Yona. Guys, we'll start the program soon. We have two big-time people in the studio. Gavin's in the house over here.
Gavin Sherwood.
Jesse Rutherford. Gavin Sherwood and Jesse Rutherford. Of course, the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith. You're looking rather tan, my friend.
Yeah, well, I was visiting family in warmer places.
You doing well?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to determine if I should tighten my seatbelt up a little bit more today. Today's going to be a lot of fun. Anytime you have little Jesse.
I love Jesse.
Jesse's off to my right. Gavin's a lot of fun unto himself, but for some reason you put Jesse off to my right where I can't really see him, and you put this. I've got, if anybody see the set, I've got this sticker on my camera that says, "Look here, stupid." So that's where I got him.
Jesse Rutherford's my kind of people. Gavin Sherwood, looking forward to meeting you today on the program. If you guys give it a like and a share, that would mean the world to us. Hit that like button and share. And if you want to offer perspective to Jesse Rutherford or Gavin Sherwood or Keith Smith, just put it in the comments section. You may even want to give them some props. You may even want to say, Jesse, I'll buy you a 6-pack of Full Nelson, or meet me at the Barrel House later today.
Those offers are always
accepted.
Always acceptable.
Every day.
Invite Gavin. But look, nobody knows what I'm about ready to do. So I want to throw this out to the feed.
Okay.
And we'll find out if it explodes or falls a little on the flat side. But on the way in, Yona and I were talking about P words, right? So on Tuesday, we were talking about the P word that we're not supposed to talk about for 2020, right?
Okay.
So that was pivot.
It's pivot.
It's pivot.
Jesse was like, where is Keith going with this?
It's pivot. So we're going to start the show off with, say, hey, let's have, let's rattle off a couple of P words, like mine will be passion, right? I'm passionate about stuff. If not, we'll just keep on going talking about Nelson County alcohol, apparently, is what's going to be the focus of today's show.
Lindsay Steele, welcome to the broadcast. Hello. Our friends at the Daily Progress watching the show.
Oh.
Maybe the influence of the Board of Supervisor over here, Mr. Jesse Rutherford. This is going to be a good show, guys. I think you're going to learn a lot about this Central Virginia community. Johnny Ornalis, hello. Is that my buddy Fitzgerald Barnes? Fitz, ¿qué pasa, chico?
God, I haven't seen him in a dog's age.
He's my homie.
Good man.
Yep.
Semper Fi, Marine.
Mr. Barnes. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you're watching. Gavin Sherwood's getting some props on the program as well.
There you go.
Judah Wickhauer, we can start when you are ready. Alex Rayfield giving you some props right now.
Thank you, Alex.
Welcome to the broadcast, Alex Rayfield. Ooh, hello, Long and Foster. The Nest Realty crew.
They love this show.
They do. They do. They really do. J-Dubs. Why don't Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate life and the pursuit of happiness presented by the Yes Team Realtors and Yes Realty Partners. This show, 60 minutes of fun, insight, and knowledge. Buckle up, as my good friend Keith Smith says. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Judah, the studio cam first, and let's welcome the distinguished gentleman to the show.
That's like I got to live up to that stuff.
The distinguished gentleman.
I got to live up to that stuff. Good Lord. So hey, this is a lot of fun. Off camera to our right, we got two rock stars. Gavin Sherwood, who is part of our Yes Realty Partners team. We're going to discuss about what he's doing in the real estate world in Nelson County. And off to my right, which I can barely see in my peripheral vision, which may be actually a really good thing, is Jesse Rutherford, the Nelson County Board of Supervisors. So we just might end up talking a little bit about alcohol and 151 fun or 150 fun. So I'll let you do the initial kickoffs on the intros, and we'll take it from there.
Why don't we do this? Jesse Rutherford, an experienced veteran on this network. Yep. A lot of respect for the Board of Supervisors from Nelson County. We'll go Gavin first. His first rodeo on the I Live Seville network. Gavin Sherwood, the show is yours, my friend. Introduce everybody to who you are.
My name is Gavin Sherwood. I've been in Central Virginia for about 20 years now. Moved here from Austin, Texas. Grew up in Houston. When I first got here, I ended up working actually for a government contractor and did background investigations on people who needed a clearance with the federal government. After doing that for about 13 years, I decided to enter into real estate.
Fantastic.
And a mutual friend of mine and Keith's, who did not know Keith at the time, introduced me to him, and the rest is
He's
kind of
been
history.
regretting it ever since.
No.
And so Keith and I and
Yona.
Yona, we hit it off very well. And they've been very helpful to me over the years, the last about 5 years.
Fantastic.
Teaching me the business and helping me learn what I need to know.
What do you love about real estate?
Oh, I do love meeting the people. That is the best part. My circle of friends has certainly increased. So it's not just helping in that process. It's what happens afterwards that I really like.
I love it. I love it.
So it's been a lot of fun.
A couple quick interesting points. If you ever talk to most real estate agents that come and sit with us, that's always the first answer. They love helping people. It's never about the money. It's never about the transaction. It's about helping people. As long as we've known each other, I didn't realize you were born in Austin, Texas.
I was not born in Austin, but I moved here from Austin.
Moved here from Austin, Texas. There you go. So Austin, Texas. A lot of people combine or think Austin, Texas and Charlottesville are very similar. Is it or is it not from your perspective? What do you think?
So my perspective on that has changed over the years, and
Really?
I say this somewhat jokingly. When I first got here, I was still in the Austin mindset, and somebody told that to me, and I said, no, not even close. Now that I've been here for quite some time, I feel a little bit more localized, and so I would agree with that statement, actually.
So it's like a small Austin.
It's a small Austin, yes, correct.
But it has a lot of the similar stuff, right?
It does.
You got UT, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Got a cool music scene.
It does.
Cool,
Restaurants,
Restaurants.
music,
music.
open-minded, entrepreneurship, innovation,
The
tech.
general
and you can kind of wander, and we'll work our way to Mr. Rutherford here in a minute, but you can go outside of the city limits of Austin pretty quickly and get into some pretty cool rural areas.
Also extremely expensive now to live.
Also a very
Little bit.
expensive,
Austin,
yes.
Texas.
A little bit.
All right, so Nelson County, Virginia is saying Jesse Rutherford, Jesse Rutherford, Jesse
Absolutely.
Rutherford.
Hey, I'm back.
Jesse, show is yours. Where do you want to start, my friend?
Man, I don't know. We could
Are you
talk-
running?
Well, I guess I have to open with that. Yes, announcing that I'm re-seeking office again. Happy to continue.
So is this the first time you've done that?
Yeah, actually, now that I think about
There
it.
you go. I think
So,
you just
yeah.
broke news on Real Talk.
Man.
Daily
Just
progress.
saying.
There you go.
Daily Promise, there you go.
So yes, I am re-seeking office. I want to build upon my many successes on Firefly in establishing internet universally across our county. Of course, expanding on that and working on career and technical education. It is imperative for rural communities, especially Nelson County, to be given opportunity to our kids and even to the adults of our community, career opportunities. And I believe that starts with career and technical education and getting the elbows dirty and, getting some folks some good training for welding jobs, for construction jobs, and the whole 9 yards, So I'm happy to continue on that. And, of course, talking about housing, that's also a huge topic for us.
I mean, we got to follow up with that, right? Dude's running for Board of Supervisors.
I wrote Daily Progress.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is
Real
big time
talk
news.
gets credit.
Talk to us the motivation to seek the office again.
Absolutely. I think there are a lot of successes, of course, when we talk about internet, and I have a lot of goals that I want to finish. When we talk about the towns of Livingston, the beautiful town of Livingston, and the opportunity that it poses to be a new place for business and also for people to live. I mean, Nelson County is a beautiful place, and it has a lot of opportunity for good, smart growth. And Livingston is going to be a beacon of that, working on streetscape revitalization, talking about putting in bricks and put brick sidewalks and putting in street side lights. Those things are just a critical piece. And we're going to work on doing some grant research over the next couple of years. Of course, COVID, the biggest excuse of the century, but it truly was a huge hamper in some of those efforts. And I want to continue on them and build on them. And of course, looking at the town of Schuyler, a forgotten town in decades prior, making that a place that has so much potential, not only for building up the people who are currently there, but it is a great place for people to live. It's affordable, and man, in terms of the drive to Charlottesville, it's shorter in a lot of scenarios. So, I want to kind of build on that and try to work on those communities.
NBC 29, welcome to the broadcast. Look
Hey,
at this. We're
here
doing
we go.
some news out there.
Do
Thank
you
you,
want to
guys.
repeat your announcement for 29?
Hey,
So they can
29,
get
I'm,
ready.
I'm rerunning for office again.
Yeah.
KT Dubs.
Irma Sue Harris is watching in Faber, Virginia.
Is
Nelson
that Faber or Faber?
Faber.
Faber.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
sorry about that. Faber.
That's
I
a
even knew that.
huge.
I
Jerry,
even knew
too,
that.
I can certainly attest to what Jesse is saying. When I first moved to Nelson County, I was in my early 20s and hated it, honestly.
Why? Because there was not much to do?
Right.
Not much to do. This was also 20 years ago.
And you were coming from Austin.
And I was coming from Austin.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
was in
not
a
really
much younger
fair.
part of my life as well. Honestly, now I would not want to move back to the city myself.
Yeah.
Because I've found a home there, and it's a great place to be. It's only 30 minutes for me to get from where I live to basically UVA.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So-
it's a beautiful place, so much.
It
You
is.
got multiple rivers. If you're a kayaker, canoer, if you're if you want to be able to work from home, you now have the ability to do that. You want nice views, you got that. If you want to be part in the little towns you got that. If you want to have a place for your out of town relatives to have fellowship with, we'll pick one of our beautiful wineries or breweries or cideries. It's just we're a great town.
I tube the Ty River 3 or 4 times a year. My buddy, and you guys are going to have to help me out, Bridge convenience store, go down this road, jump into the Ty River over here.
Arrington.
South Pals.
Yeah. He's in Arrington, the hippie hole.
South
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Love going there.
Absolutely.
We go to the Barrel House afterwards. I mean,
do.
it is just God's country, Nelson County.
Absolutely.
And not to be the realtor and the real estate person in the conversation, but the numbers dictate that. You can see that's where we're going. But before we
Yeah.
do that, I want to give a shout out to Gavin because, he doesn't talk too much about this, but talk a little bit about what the volunteer work you do with the adaptive skiers. That's a pretty awesome thing. And you were telling me the other day you were working with Wounded Warriors as a vet and as a vet that kind of got
Thank you
blown
for your
up.
service.
So
Thank you.
I'm the vet.
Okay,
I'm the
okay,
vet.
all right.
He's helping.
Gotcha,
Okay, let's
gotcha.
let's try this again. I'm the vet.
Okay.
He's
So-
helping Wounded Warriors.
There we go. There we go.
Briefly, in the
I'll
mid
just sip my coffee and be quiet.
in the mid 80s, a gentleman created an organization called Wintergreen Adaptive Sports, and the sole purpose of this organization is basically to provide sports instruction, ski instruction, boating instruction to people who have any kind of disability. And so I volunteer with this organization. I've been doing that for about 5 years. And we have a great time. We have a Wounded Warriors weekend every ski season, and we just concluded that about 2 weeks ago. Had a great turnout despite COVID.
Sure.
And we were, as I'm sure everyone was, a little worrisome as to whether that would impact the season very much. But we were able to pull it off. And so we love being on the mountain. We love being able to help people, and it's just a ton of fun.
But man, you got some snow base up there, don't
We
you?
did this year.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
I mean, what is it right now? Do you know? Or what was
Well,
it? I guess.
This year I would bet it was probably 4 or 5 feet.
Wow,
That wouldn't surprise me.
I remember years when it was
maybe
4 or 5
2.
inches.
Yeah. Or it was none, and it was the fake
there was
snow.
none. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the fake
Well,
snow.
from what I understand, don't they have like the largest snowmaking facility on the
That's a
East
question
Seaboard?
for him.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that's
Yeah.
accurate, especially after the recent, I guess in the past decade when they rebuilt all those facilities. Yeah.
Right, because that really hurt them a couple back-to-back winters,
It
right?
did. Oh, yeah.
Because there was no snow.
Yep.
So the revenue wasn't there.
Yep.
You're getting props from Kimmy Kruskamp.
Absolutely.
She says, congratulations, go Jesse, go. Roseanne Jones, hey Jesse, love to hear this. Hardeep Singh, Jennifer Brown, Christian Raymond, Yvette Stafford, Renee Maxey, Kyle Rose. If you're just tuning into the broadcast, Jesse Rutherford just announced that he is seeking re-election for the Nelson County Board of Supervisors. Let us know how you feel about that in the comment section. Andre Xavier says hello, distinguished
Hello,
gentlemen.
Andre, we're going to call you. We're working on that Africa trip. We're working on it.
So Keith, tell us why you put this roundtable together.
Well, I put it together for 2 reasons. Well, actually 3 now. Unknowingly was to announce his candidacy. But, you know, Nelson County, we've been talking about this for quite some time about numbers, right? It's growing. And I couldn't think anybody better than Gavin Sherwood to come in and talk about what's going on the ground as far as real estate goes. And I couldn't also think about anybody better. Well, actually, I could. I just couldn't get that other person. So
Thanks, Keith.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
I missed you too.
Yeah, miss you too. Love you too.
Well, let me ask you this. You two see each other all the time in Zoom meetings because of what you guys do. When's the last time you've seen each other in person?
Oh, man. That's a great question.
I have no idea, man.
Besides today. Has it been over a year since you've seen each other in person?
Yeah. I would
guess
say
so.
yes.
Is that right?
That's terrifying.
Right?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it shows
I'm
you
used to
the
my
impact of
virtual
COVID.
lifestyle now.
Yeah. Because pre-COVID, wouldn't you guys see each other a lot?
We would,
Yeah.
yeah. And oh, by the way, I'm good for another year.
You're good for another year? Oh, man.
Some zingers this morning.
You know, it's just, well.
Get him some
anyway.
coffee.
It was well, it could have been what we were sniffing on the way over.
I don't know what you were.
Gavin Sherwood, let's talk
Yes, sir.
real estate in Nelson County, my friend. It's booming.
It is booming.
Tell us why.
Well, the lack of inventory, very similar to here in Charlottesville. And I think people are realizing at this point, like I had mentioned earlier, short drive and you're still within reach of everything.
Right?
And so,
So it's interesting. I gave everybody a little bit of cheat sheets, and Gavin and I were talking about
You
this
have great handwriting.
offline. Thank you. Was that a zinger back at me?
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know, it's just I remember a few years ago it was difficult to sell something.
It was.
In Nelson County, and particularly in Wintergreen. But year to date, right now, the sales, there was 85 units sold, 9 days on market, a $315,000 median sales price.
Insane.
That's 44 grand higher than it was the year before. 2020
insane.
was 271. You know, it's just cranking up. We've been talking about this all the time. COVID has kind of helped us along, but if you take a look at the track of the numbers, it's been kind of steadily going up over the last 3 or 4 years.
Right, it has.
On that, I think we touched a little bit on Firefly. That's a huge reason. But Gavin, like my counterpart here was saying, my better 7/8 on this show was telling me, why do you think this is happening? Why is this ramping up to this point?
I think the tax rate does help as well. People are realizing that too. I do like to tell the story. I met a gentleman who was moving from New Jersey. The first time I ever met this man, he gave me a hug when I told him what the tax rate was.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the difference. And that even applies to Charlottesville and to Albemarle as well.
So he was going from tens of thousands of dollars.
Correct. To under 5.
Under 5, yeah.
And that's going to get, that disparity, that delta is going to get larger.
It is.
I mean, because
Yeah.
the county has straight up said, and the city of Charlottesville, Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville straight up said, we're going to up them.
Well, it's interesting. That's a segue into an interesting question for our good friend Jesse over here. And I apologize. I'll be more respectful, Mr. Board of Supervisor.
You can call me honorable now.
Jesse's page is blowing up right now with the news about him seeking re-election. I'm just telling you right now. I'm looking at it.
And I'm going to make a selfless plug
Okay.
for Jesse, because I believe you guys are going to end up with about $1 million surplus in your budget this year. Is that correct?
Correct. Recurring revenue, potentially.
How,
Yeah.
Okay, let me understand something.
Potentially.
Yeah.
We haven't quite got it
Yeah.
done yet.
We'll
Most
get
of the
we'll get the line
most of
soon.
the municipalities are losing money and are in the red.
That's the reason
What
I'm
did-
here.
now-
Nelson County's in the black?
What did I say to y'all a year ago? We got this, okay? And that's exactly what we did. I said Nelson County has been, I'm proud of my fiscal responsibility. I'm proud to have been a fiscal conservative. And of course, Nelson County has always had a war chest, so to speak, for times like this. And, you know, there have been those moments where I was proud that we used that war chest for these rainy days and forgiving personal property tax. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
You know, and guess what? We were very cautious when it came to capital improvements, and we're very cautious in looking at what major recurring expenses we would take on. And, you know, as we're looking at this, we now have a great opportunity to look to the future and how can we now take advantage of our next steps. Guess what? We did internet, and now we're going to be looking at potentially doing a sports facility in Nelson County.
Get out of town.
Yes.
Did you know that, Smith?
Yes.
I just learned that.
So
What?
one of the things that we're going to be looking at is, since we're so fiscally responsible that we've said, you know what, it's time for us to get ahead of Albemarle. It's time for us to get ahead of these places. We don't want to boom. We don't want to be a crowded town. but we want to be a place that you have so much value to live there even further. So we're looking at doing a recreation facility potentially.
What's that mean?
So that means basically we're going to be looking at giving our kids state-of-the-art fields, state-of-the-art lights, state-of-the-arts. Basically anything that has to do with sports, we want to be the sports arena
Are you going after sports tourism?
I think we're going to be looking at, I don't know if you know South Hill and their kind of concept. Basically, they have a little bit of a similar, where people come all over the state to participate in tournaments there. We're kind of looking at that, but we want to really focus on the kids in Nelson and how it is that we can not only have the internet access and the great school system, and of course, but we also want to be able to, encourage athletics. We think that's a very important piece of our county and the future of our neighborhoods. We want to be that option.
Well, as a resident, I must thank you directly for the internet.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a huge thing. And back to that $1 million.
He's not Al Gore.
Yeah.
I apologize. I take that back.
Sports facility.
It's a great thing, but I want to pivot this back to Gavin and put my real estate
Sure.
hats
Real estate on this one, yeah.
back on for the minute. So the conversation or what we just heard, right? When you are talking to potential buyers that want to move into Nelson County, is that what you're hearing? Are you hearing things?
I am.
So
Very much so.
Walk us through a typical conversation. Okay, I think I'm the only Yankee at this set at the moment, so I'm moving.
Praying for you.
It's okay, thank you. I'm moving down from the Northeast. I've got my bag of cash because I sold my house. Sell me on Nelson County and sell me on that area over there because I've heard all this great stuff. I've heard Jesse Rutherford on Real talk about all this great stuff. So just give me a little bit of, let's do a little role playing here.
Well,
give
of
me
course,
a little bit of sales speech.
Of course, the conversation initially goes to price. And so I think we've already established that's very doable for most people. Proximity to things, healthcare.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main questions that people have is the distance to, say, Lynchburg or Charlottesville for the hospitals, which I think is a relatively short, in my opinion, it can be a short conversation because coming from a bigger city, a 5-mile drive will take you 30 minutes. I'm now driving 40 miles and it takes me 30 minutes.
Got it.
So the time in the car is the same, the distance may be different. So I think that can be easily.
But that drive is also super pleasant.
It is.
Right?
Yes.
There's nothing
beautiful
prettier
drive.
than driving down 29.
I will say I am a little upset with VDOT for their installation of the traffic light
64.
at 64 coming northbound on 29. I know a lot of people probably don't make it south of 64,
Yeah.
so you may not know what we're talking about.
I know exactly what
The
you're saying.
cloverleaf from 29 south to get onto 64 east,
Yeah.
that has been dismantled now, and those left turn lanes that they've installed.
Yeah.
But once you get south of 64, you do not have a single stoplight for 30 miles.
Kimberly Lowe says she absolutely loves it, right exactly where you're talking about. You now have the Crozet Gazette and the Nelson County Times on the show as we speak. Crozet Gazette has questions.
Let's do
have
it.
Some answers.
Should I throw them to you?
I'm ready.
Let's do
Give
it.
me an answer, Chris.
So this is
Chris.
from Mary Elizabeth Silverthorne Cunningham, a writer for the Crozet Gazette. She says, affordable housing, priorities. Mr. Rutherford.
Absolutely. One of my goals and ambitions this coming year is to be looking at zoning and regulations that the county puts in place that is really hampered on the ability for small town families to subdivide their land and build a house. Two particular aspects that, talking about setbacks, one of our setbacks is 75 feet. 75 feet can be a lot when you're only working on, let's say, 3/4 of an acre. And the county also requires a 100% reserve rate for your septic. This is the difference between a rural farmer's kid getting a home and them having to either live at grandma's house or then absolutely just leaving Nelson County altogether. And we've got to start visiting that so that we can support the locals in Nelson County who have these farms to have the ability to subdivide a good piece off and be able to live in Nelson. So when we talk about affordable housing, I'm going to be going at it from a zoning perspective for a little bit. That's not to say that we're going to be pushing for massive apartment complexes and whatnot, but to kind of ease some of those burdens. I think one perspective is when you add, so let's just say a 75-foot setback or you have a 100% reserve rate, these things become, all right, that's $3,000 more cost because you're further down the hill. Keep in mind, all the roads in Nelson County are built on ridges. So when you add 75 feet, guess what? Your topography gets worse. And that costs several more $1,000s. And guess what? When you're a low budget person trying to build a house, that ruins your potential to actually get a home. So we need to start visiting that. And those are the questions that, of course, I know we'll answer in Nelson County and have full confidence that we will get a resolve on. But Albemarle needs to do the same thing. You know, they have some regulations out there that make it very difficult for people of a lower income bracket to have the ability to build on a piece of property.
Great answer. Mr. Miller was trying to bait me into the conversation the last time we seen each other. So I want to give a little bit of hats off to Jesse. In this particular field, Jesse's part of the Regional Housing Partnership representing Nelson County, and we see each other regularly, virtually, over the years. So he is super engaged in this process. This is for both of you two gentlemen. Whoever wants to jump in. You know, we've been.
Let's go Gavin first.
So Gavin first. So we've been having this conversation repetitively about driving to qualify, right? And we can consider Nelson County part of this driving to the qualify thing. So I'm a developer. I'm ready to bring on a project here. Where should I be seeking land, or where should I want to put a project in so we can provide affordable housing or increase inventory? And everybody's agreeing inventory needs to be increased. Where am I going to go? Tell me where I'm going to go.
I think there's space everywhere. Off the top of my head, I would certainly say Lovingston.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
So tell me why.
It's a county hub. That's where most things occur in the county.
What about infrastructure?
From that perspective, and I think it would be a relative. As Jesse had said, it can be a relatively easy process working with the board and with development to make that occur.
And to build on that, you know, when you mention inventory, it's also the water authority, and it has water and sewer.
Correct.
Well, that's why I was asked a follow-up
correct.
question, because that's the first thing that we're going to want to look at.
Sure.
Is do we have the infrastructure there? Is there capacity there to serve? Right? Is there a capacity to serve thing? And I wrote a note down. You said 100% reserve. You were talking about the septic field.
Correct.
Got it. Just to put a little, make sure
builders
folks
knew what I was saying.
So folks understood what we were talking about
Yeah.
on 100% serve. So in a traditional septic scenario, you have a field for your home, and they're now requiring, or they have been requiring, 100% reserve. So you're looking at possibly reducing that, which then would increase the footprint of the property that you can build more homes on it. But yeah, so I'm interested in Lovingston. UVA hospitals, how far from Lovingston?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm making some notes here.
There you go.
Make some
You thinking about relocating?
No. Don't
The East District welcomes you, Keith.
Even with this accent?
We'll let you in.
Neil Williamson, welcome to the broadcast.
Hey, Neil.
Now 4 media outlets watching. Becky Van Cleve giving you props. More questions coming in. Gavin is getting props on the broadcast as well from Debbie Gibson Dedamore, Jewel Hara, Carolyn Savano, and Alex Rayfield again. We legitimately have 5 different states watching the show. Folks in Albemarle County, the city of Charlottesville, Nelson, Northern Virginia, and Southwestern Virginia. The news is obviously this gentleman is seeking re-election for Nelson County Board of Supervisors. I don't even think we even prioritized enough what he said about sports tourism in this sports complex.
Yeah.
I mean, he straight up said, get ready, Albemarle County. Nelson County's going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said that. Man.
Well, I have to.
Because I've been screaming for sports tourism here. I remember as a kid going to soccer tournaments in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 4 days, hotels, restaurants. The economic boost is incredible.
Yep.
So at our regional housing partnerships and our Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission meetings, we tend to go back and forth a little bit, Nelson County, Fluvanna County. I just want to say Fluvanna County happens to have a 1,000-acre sport. We have soccer fields and all this stuff.
Isn't it shocking that this has not been done?
Well, what's even more shocking from a resident of Fluvanna since 1987, it's not promoted.
Right?
Nobody knows that there's a 1,000-acre park in Fluvanna County that has 33 miles of trails. It has multiple soccer fields. You know, nobody knows because it's not being promoted.
Well, for me, it's shocking that sports tourism is not prioritized more in Central Virginia with the university, these athletic programs here.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect segue, Gavin, into, people are going to Nelson County because of the beauty, because of the internet, right?
The prices.
The prices are
Yeah.
right. You know,
Well, all of those things considered, but I think Nelson County is now providing things it did not once, did not have at one point.
Correct.
And the most important
Correct.
one is the internet.
Yes.
You know, based on the world nowadays.
I agree.
so I didn't take a deep dive in this, but you're a Nelson County native or resident, and you understand Nelson County better than most. What's the typical buyer profile now? Is it my age? Is it a retiree? Or is it families?
no, we're seeing
And
families
Jesse,
now.
jump in if you know the answer.
We're
to
seeing
this.
families now. I actually had a conversation with a new person yesterday who was looking to relocate, and we did not get into specifics about her. I would guess she was probably in her mid-20s.
Yeah.
And had just found a job with the public school system in Nelson County.
So
it
you're
was-
starting to see now, like way back, like 2 years ago, pre-COVID, nobody really talked about golf courses. Nobody really talked
Tennis,
about
outdoor
tennis,
stuff.
outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
Just think about what Wintergreen offers. I mean, just take Lake Monticello and just multiply it, right?
Right.
You just don't have a lake. You can go skiing. You can go hiking. You can do all this great stuff.
Correct.
Comments coming in about this. Ray Cadell, your colleague, says,
Right.
is it right that former owner James Justice, governor of West Virginia and owner of the Greenbrier, put money into Wintergreen, I believe? I think the current snow-making equipment was from him.
Correct.
Is that right?
Sounds right. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's Ray Cadell there. Ray always offers
Ray's
good
a-
stuff.
Don't tell him this, but
Yeah.
Ray's a genius.
He's a smart guy. He's a Renaissance man.
Renaissance man.
He did a wonderful service to Wintergreen that was his main focus while he owned the resort from about 2012 to 2015.
So let's
is-
talk about other amenities that Wintergreen has. It has its own PD, right? Does it
sorry?
have its own police department?
Yes.
It has its own fire department. It has its own rescue.
Correct.
Is that not correct?
Those
what
are
else?
all-
What other amenities? Because maybe some. You know, I've been living here since 1987. I've gone to Wintergreen half a dozen times. So, what other amenities? What other assets does Wintergreen have?
It has every outdoor activity you can imagine, which would be very appealing to most everyone, I think, in this area. Like you had said, the paramedics, the police, and the fire department, they are all paid staff. So what you do run into sometimes in Nelson County and other localities are volunteer services.
I did not know that.
Wintergreen, they are paid staff, so they are staffed 24/7, 365.
And does that come out of your dues? Is that part of your dues?
That is part of the dues.
That's interesting because Lake Monticello has paid PD, but everything else is volunteer.
No.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
what
the
are
res-
the,
the
what are the
rescue
current
squad there.
dues at
sorry?
Wintergreen? What's the current dues at Wintergreen?
$1,820 per year.
Quentin Beckham, good morning from rainy and windy Corolla Beach, North Carolina. Quentin Beckham, fantastic man in the game, real estate. He says, fellas, I think Wintergreen is also likely benefiting from the increase in the second home market. Thoughts on that topic?
Outstanding question.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Is he right?
I think so, yes.
Jesse, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think one thing that we've seen, do I think second home? Absolutely. But one thing that I've noticed is you're actually starting to see families move back into Stoney Creek, which hasn't been a scenario in decades.
Why
What was the scenario then?
I mean, it became
second homes?
It was basically retired
Okay.
demographic that was moving in there. Now you're starting to see the family that's got internet that now has access to 64, and dad can go to Richmond or Stanton or whichever city he may be working in once or twice a week. And you're starting to see families moving into the Stoney Creek area, which is going to make things very interesting on a long term, because typically, there's been not many families at all.
Correct.
That have young kids in those subdivisions. So starting to see some of that, which, that leads me to say that Nelson County is an up-and-coming place for families. It's not just a bedroom community for those who are retiring or seeking the second home, but now it's becoming a viable place to raise your family.
And I think what you guys did for fiber is all the difference in the world.
Oh my gosh.
And if I remember correctly, that started about 10 years ago, 12 years ago?
2007, roughly.
2007. So again, Gavin, when you're having your conversation with folks, where is the conversation of internet or fiber or high speed or broadband? Is that floating to the
Number
top?
one.
Yeah.
That's within the top 3 or 4 points of discussion about moving to Nelson County.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys didn't have that going on, it wouldn't be this scenario.
Correct. Yeah,
No.
correct.
I mean, that's what's causing this boom.
It's very interesting. I had a phone call from a client yesterday potential buyer, and that was their number one thing.
It was.
You know, I need a certain amount of bandwidth speed, upload and download, because they're both working at home, the kids are at home, so forth and so on. And you know, that was their first search criteria, and then everything else came second. Location was second. So normally it's always location and then kind of fit the rest of it. But that was the first conversation I had in a long time that was strictly fiber. I need that first.
Yeah.
Then everything else is second.
I mean, and I can say this: the presenting partner of this network is Ting.
Ting, yeah, sure.
And when we switched from Comcast to Ting and fiber,
Oh, yeah.
dude, it was night and day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was
Can't
not
even-
even comparable. And we're getting, good Lord, what's going on over here? Is Christopher Faraldi a Virginia
Faraldi.
delegate? Virginia delegate?
That is Lynchburg City Council, a good friend of mine.
He says he's watching the program and
Right.
says we need more young people like Jesse Rutherford and local government. Josiah Leonard, 4 more years. Marion Smith, glad to hear Schuyler mention Jesse. Am I missing something there?
Say that again.
Let's see, Marion Smith, glad.
Yes, Marion.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, giving you some
Good
props.
friend, thank you.
CBS 19, welcome to the program
There you
here.
go, CBS 19.
Schools. So here's a pointed question for you guys.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do
This
it.
is from someone in Nelson. They say,
Jesse.
I'll throw it to both you guys. I'll throw it to both you guys.
All right.
How are you going to prioritize schools and school infrastructure for our kids
Sure.
with all the folks moving to Nelson County?
Sure. And
That's a
let's-
fair question.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So one thing that we've experienced in Nelson County is we've had a massive. All of our school facilities are new, relatively new. I mean, built in the '90s, I think was the last school system. I guess you were around when that happened.
I wasn't here quite yet. I wasn't quite here yet.
But anyways, so most of our school systems are relatively new compared to the state. When we talk about infrastructure, we're really talking about what staffing needs. Probably it's not so much a facility. At least from my experience of what we need more classrooms, because we currently have schools operating at, like 60% capacity. So I think it would be more along the lines of how do we get more teachers involved and more principals involved. But I do want to caution one thing, though, and this is a huge topic in local governments, not just Nelson County, but across all rural spheres. We're experiencing kind of a cultural change in the family dynamic. I mean, you're not seeing families of 4 and 5 anymore. And you're not seeing families start usually at the age of 20. They're starting in their 30s, early 30s, mid 30s. So I think one thing that we can be rest assured is because of the culture change, so to speak, we're not going to have move in 10 families and then have 100 kids hit the school system within 4 years. Culturally speaking, that's not where we are. But one thing that I think is critical is, good, smart investment into our school system so that we can make sure that we have. I mean, it is my goal that Nelson County be the number one school system in the state of Virginia. I mean, I think that is not, and with our school system size, that is absolutely possible, and that comes with certain prioritizations, obviously some monetary and others, making the right moves in terms of sports. I think sports has a big ability to inspire some kids in their performance academically.
No doubt.
So-
Dude, if I didn't get good grades, I couldn't play sports.
Right.
It was straight up like that with my parents. If you don't get A's, you're off the team.
you
I
go.
busted my tail and got A's.
There you go. And the coaches usually kind of lean that
Right.
way, too.
Yeah.
But I can add to that conversation because Jesse's been on the commission for 4 years now.
4 years?
4 years.
Ish,
And
yeah.
I remember, and we do a roundtable discussion typically at the end of every meeting, and I can look at the faces of the other Albemarle County, City of Charlottesville members that are on it when Jesse says, oh yeah, we're we're losing kids. For years
We are.
we were losing kids.
And we
right?
still are.
And you're still losing kids. So, I didn't realize the number was 60%. I thought it was closer to 80, but so.
No.
Wow. So you've got technically 40% room.
I think, and if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, we're losing about 50 to 60 kids overall every year. And so since the early 2000s, we've lost, I think it's 300 or 400 students since the early 2000s. So going from, let's just say, 2,000 pupils, we're getting down to, 1,700, 1,600 pupils total across the school system. So overall, our school system is shrinking. Now, again, I want to be fair to the rest of Virginia. This is all of rural Virginia suffering. Now, of course, I want to prioritize families and change that. And the best school system is, I believe, one that stays, right there year over year so that you can have better predictability with teachers and facilities. But, that's something that we got to keep in mind is the cultural change of the family family structure.
But I think COVID has changed, obviously, because the numbers are telling us
Yeah.
that it's changed, right? Because we've, just to take a look at it, between 2019 and 2020, there was 135 additional sales.
Right.
So 2020, there was a total of 463. These are closed sales, all of Nelson County.
That's amazing.
2019 was 328. So it bumped 135
a lot.
actual transactions. Went up almost 80 grand in that same 2 years.
More. Okay, so this is a really good one. I'll throw this to Gavin. Dude, this is big news what you just did, obviously, and it's resonating with folks in Nelson. This is coming in via Twitter. Why don't I start with you on this one, Gavin? Jerry, can you ask your roundtable what we need to do to revitalize Lovingston?
Ooh.
Do we need to revitalize Lovingston first? Is the comment fair? And then the second, I guess what they're saying is, let's see if we can get some economic activity in Lovingston. Is that what they're saying?
Well, I think Jesse has an answer to that, but I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Gavin
Well,
first.
from a resident perspective and not being on the board, I see that to some degree.
Absolutely.
To throw out Mountain Mama's, one of the restaurants that moved into I forget the name of the building.
The old Livingston Opry.
It used to be the old Livingston Opry.
Shout out to Mountain Mama's
Yes,
right now.
and a shout out as well. I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah.
So they are basically on Front Street, which is
Yep.
Main Street in Livingston. And there are other storefronts there that could certainly impact. The Makers Market
Yeah.
just opened.
The Makers Market, the Makers Market just opened in the last couple of months, which
Was it,
is
yeah?
all of a bunch of artisans in Nelson County coming together to kind of have I'm not going to say cooperative in the sense of that's how it's structured, but it's essentially a bunch of artisans coming together. And pre-COVID, we had several businesses looking to open up storefronts. And again, this is the most nightmare time to ever think about having a storefront.
Yeah.
There's nobody who denies that. But right before COVID hit, we had at least 3 prospective people looking at opening storefronts, and COVID was obviously a disenfranchising situation. But yeah, the need is huge, and my first goal is to give Livingston a facelift on the streetscape so that these businesses have nice sidewalks to walk down. I want people to run without tripping on the cracks of sidewalks in Livingston.
So let's talk about that for a second, because we
Right.
had the conversation on the network about the streetscape improvements from Charlottesville, which the number
Yeah.
was huge.
52 million.
52
Holy
million.
cow.
23 million matching, or 23 million contributed by VDOT and the University of Virginia. So that 52 million is roughly 28 and change.
Yeah.
To the city.
Yeah.
And then
And they also, to that point, because I'm in favor of this
Yeah,
streetscape
sure,
project,
sure.
to that point, they already have to dig up the ground
Yeah.
to improve the underground infrastructure.
And
So they were just going to tag team the project.
yeah, well, that
That's
second
typically what you do.
Yeah.
that second part has to be done.
It has to be done.
Regardless.
Yeah, right.
But the point I was trying to make is Nelson County has got in front of this just like it did with the fiber
Right.
end of it. And to answer that question, what Nelson County is doing, and just talk a little bit about this in detail, if you don't mind, what actually we're doing in the streetscape. What is the plan for the streetscape of Lovingston? And where do you think it's going to
Good
take?
question.
Right. So yeah, let's hit specific. Things that we want to look at is that facelift kind of, as I mentioned before. We want to have sidewalks that you walk down and look nice. You got flower pots. You got places to sit down. You're going to walk and you're not going to trip over a change in elevation of concrete because it cracked 30 years ago. We also want it to be handicap accessible to some degree, to the best of our ability, so that those who have certain disabilities can also enjoy our streetscapes.
Well, that ADA capabilities is only going to grow businesses, because if we're
Absolutely.
going to open up a business there,
You're going to have no choice but to.
you're going to need to meet
Yep.
your ADA.
And so those are the particular, in order to have, businesses come to Livingston, we have to look at those things because they're going to need that ADA compliance. They're going to need, a good looking place that people are going to want to turn off of. And Livingston is the perfect opportunity. It's got 3 entrances into it, north, south, and in the middle. So it's like you can have an event and guess what? There's 3 exits. And you can even take 56 on the way out if you wanted. And which gives us such a huge opportunity. But to get to the specifics, it's about fixing up the sidewalks. It's about giving it a facelift. It's about, I want to implement some artisan work, doing we have, Nelson County has so many talented artists and just crafty people. How can we implement some of that into our downtown arena, and make that a place that's attractive and interesting that people want to go to? And again, that can happen so much easier than the Crozets of this world, because guess what? We got 29. we can safely enter and exit and not get stuck at that one stoplight for 20 minutes. You know, I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah.
I've been stuck at that traffic light for over an hour, Smith. You too, I bet.
Yeah.
Especially when you were at the other place, coming out of the other place, going left toward Ivy, towards Crozet.
Yeah.
It took a while.
Right?
It took a while. It took a while. So we've just magically, Gavin, fixed or did streetscapes at Livingston, and I'll go back to asking Jesse when he thinks this might
You and
actually
Jesse are the builders.
might actually happen.
We'll
But
put you
I
on the
mean,
committee.
this is more
Yeah,
of
sounds
a
good.
duh question. That's going to help sales. That's going to help.
Absolutely.
It's going to
Absolutely.
attract. So, from your perspective,
The impact.
Exactly. Very
Yeah.
much. Thank you for the. What do you think is the impact on sales and?
If Livingston is hot.
So
you go.
I think that will certainly help draw some more people to Nelson County. Having been there for quite some time now, honestly, we do have a pretty good basis of business existing. More would not obviously hurt.
Right.
We have the dollar store. We have multiple banks. We have the grocery store. We have the
You have
gas
Food
stations.
Lion there, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
You have a gym.
Honestly, you really don't have to leave Livingston to get anything,
Right.
for the most part. So that
A
is
little.
one.
Got to travel a little bit to go get that some gin or.
Oh well,
You got
correct.
Virginia Distillery right down the street,
Yeah.
man.
There
Come
you
on.
go.
That is a
There you
Livingston
go.
address.
That's a long walk,
Yeah.
but
It can be done.
Yes.
especially on the way home.
yes, yeah.
So
3
Quentin
hours.
Beckham brings this up, and it's interesting. It's also on Twitter and LinkedIn. When doing the Livingston Rehabilitation Project, is that the right term? Is it a streetscape project?
I would say streetscape revitalization.
Okay,
That's
streetscape
probably the better way to look at it.
Okay, so 3 different people are saying, are you guys, including Quentin, Twitter and LinkedIn, are you prioritizing open space? Because as we reopen coming out of this COVID thing, the value for open space with small businesses is extremely important.
Okay.
How are we prioritizing open space in this Livingston Streetscape project? Is that being done?
So I'm going to dovetail on that.
Sure.
So I'm opening up a restaurant in there, outdoor seating.
That's what he's saying.
Right,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Right. You know, I think that'd be phenomenal. I know some of the restaurants in Livingston have already talked about how they can benefit off of that. And I think that is a huge piece of it. You know, I'd like to see, depending on which facility that they're looking at, which building, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for that. You know, we got but so much road that you can utilize for seating, and I would probably caution that one. But there's a lot of fields actually behind a lot of those buildings, especially behind theater and whatnot. So there's a lot of opportunity in that area, especially for parking as well. If parking becomes
Absolutely.
a scenario.
What are your thoughts?
My mind goes to the field behind Front Street Garage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge
I would
opportunity in
bet
that.
that's probably 10 acres,
Easy.
if not more,
Yeah.
in downtown Livingston.
Yep.
So where are we at in the process?
So where we're at right now is we currently have done some plans. We've done some revitalization plans, which I've advertised on my Facebook page and prior. Next steps are soliciting grants. Obviously, getting some excitement from people. Our goal was trying to right when we finished those plans, COVID had hit, so a lot of the excitement was kind of dampened by what is the world right now.
Sure.
Which is totally fair. But
I think we just fixed the excitement.
I think we're getting the excitement again, which is great. And my goal is to have a town hall once we get a little bit more COVID friendlier, and invite people to start spouting these ideas. And you know, given the good, the bad, and the criticisms, and I think we need all of them. But we're going to be soliciting some pretty major grants over the next year and a half.
So
year and a
we're-
half, 2 years.
We're looking between a 2 to 3 year.
I would say it's
timeline.
2 to 3 year timeline. We have to figure out money.
So the
you know.
so the good news about that is the folks that are interested in it can get engaged via your Facebook page and
Absolutely.
help formulate
Yeah.
the end product, right?
And we are going to be doing town halls. There's with 100% confidence we will do some town halls, and I believe we'll probably utilize the TJPDC to help me facilitate.
oh,
So
there you go.
More comments coming in for everybody, especially about Nelson County. Nikki Wooten Chabless. Nelson County is a great commute for motorcycle riding. Virginia is for motorcycle riders. Justine is watching in Vermont.
Hey,
she
Justine.
says the Nelson County Farmers Market is absolutely bona fide.
Absolutely.
How about this one from QB? I think a lot of municipal governments are having the talk about revitalization in the post-COVID area. What does Jesse think is the next priority to make businesses attractive for consumers and also attracted to the area that is in need of revitalizing? How do items like streetscapes and parking and transportation play into this very complex topic? Wow. Good
Wow.
question right
Man.
there.
We're gonna have to break that down.
Yeah. Woo, buddy, call me sometime. In a 6-pack, please.
What do you think? You want
Yeah.
to touch on
Well,
it?
his version would be a brown liquor, but
Yes. Oh, gotcha. That's fine. Yeah, it is a complex conversation because not only is it about attracting the consumer, it's attracting the business. And which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And guess what? Somebody's there's gonna be some investor who's gonna bite the bullet. I've already spoken to some of them who have great ambitions in the greater Livingston area, not specifically downtown. And once we get that going, I mean, we have one of the top-notch looking distilleries in the state. Virginia Distillery is award-winning. And they have, I don't know if you guys have ever been, it is a beautiful facility. I'm sure Gavin can concur with that. And, you know, just complimenting off of building similar to theirs, you know, and activities. I think that's the next step in how you get the consumer. You know, I think what would be great is a renowned brewery hopping up downtown, and guess what? All it takes is just one or two.
Right.
And Mountain Mama's has made this very niche. If you guys have not been, you can get like the best ribeye steak. You know,
It's very good.
It's like
Ribs.
16, 18 ounces.
You need one business there, like almost like Beer Run did
Yes.
with Woolen Mills.
Yes.
And Beer Run made that
Sure.
And it
neighborhood
did.
super
And
cool.
So we're looking for that one, and honestly, it's going to happen. It can't not, because right now we're looking at so much potential, and it's beautiful. I mean, just the ability and the affordability of going downtown Livingston right now is huge. So to match what it is, I do think, you know, we got to get the chicken. You know, there's going to be somebody who hops in and who wants to do something huge, and we're going to complement that hard with tourism dollars.
Well, I think you've got the egg.
And we got the egg. Yeah,
but
the
the egg
consumers
needs to
are there.
be-
They just need to come over down 6.
Well, I think it needs to be incubated, right? And that's kind of where you guys are
Sure.
at the moment, where the egg needs to be incubated so we can create the chicken
Right.
and then
Right.
create more eggs and kind of move forward. But I'm going to pick that question a little bit apart from QB because my ears went to transportation on that end of it. So public transport, right? Does Java go out there?
Yes.
Java.
Yes, they do.
Makes sense. Jefferson. No, I got the wrong. Jefferson.
Jaunt.
You're
Aaron.
talking
Jaunt.
Jaunt. Yeah.
Java.
Java
Jefferson.
also goes there.
They do.
So
They both
I
do.
got my J's mixed up. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
Java is for old people. Jaunt is for driving.
Yeah. Yes. No, Jaunt makes it out there.
So talk about that. How does that work? They have like a
Sure.
pickup spot or something like that?
Multiple, I believe, and I haven't gotten an update from the executive in a little bit, but if I'm not mistaken, you know, they'll go to people's houses for those who have who struggle with certain health issues or they can't drive, don't own a vehicle, and they can benefit off of certain monies available from the feds and the state. That's huge. So it provides for their doctor's appointments. It provides for, you know, just general going to the grocery store, sometimes just getting transport to a job sometimes.
Well, your park and ride lot, I think, is
Mountain Mamas is watching the program
Great.
right now. Welcome, Mountain Mamas, to the broadcast.
Thank
Mountain
goodness.
Mamas.
Is it
Hello.
Trish Becker? Mountain Mamas, hello. Someone says, please make mention, Marianne, of what a wonderful animal care facility we have. Betty Graham's Almost Home No-Kill Shelter.
Absolutely.
He's getting some props on the feed.
Absolutely.
Gavin, Carla Christensen. Hello. Seville Weekly, now on the broadcast here.
How many does that make?
That is CBS 19, NBC 29, Neil Williamson, The Daily Progress, all
Right.
on today's show.
And we will get credit for the release.
I know. I think what's going to happen is they'll just reach out to him, and then the story's just going to air like that.
No credit, huh?
Yeah, that's how it normally goes.
Well, darn.
Too funny.
Got to try.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. What's your question?
Yeah, I'm just amazed by the conversation, what's going on here. But I want to go back a little bit to Shuyler, because you mentioned Shuyler.
I want to talk
Yeah.
about Schuyler.
And we know this in this room, but the people watching may not know. What national prominence has Shuyler had?
Oh, man.
I know you know what it is.
I know what it is.
But
Gavin.
do you know what it is, the national prominence? Used to be a TV show?
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
okay. Well, you know what I know Skylar for. Okay.
No.
Is that what you're alluding to? Is this
no,
one of those
no.
tricks, the P
It's
word thing
a
again?
this
TV
is-
show.
Yeah.
So I know the P word
Okay.
guy.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
What's the TV show?
Oh, good Lord.
What is it?
Did you
Really?
not watch it, bro?
You don't know. You know what it is.
I know what it is.
What is it?
The Waltons.
Waltons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
The Waltons. That was literally.
I'm a little younger than you. Okay. When was
Hold
the
on.
Waltons
Hold
last?
on.
When was the Waltons last on air?
Oh God.
It's still on air.
Wait, and what on TV Land?
Oh,
on Nick
gosh.
at Night?
Probably, maybe.
Yeah?
No.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the
okay.
70s.
Okay, there you go.
It's-
So it's not what I was going to say. What's
I know what you were going to say.
Jesse's just laughing over there. Keep going, Keith
real
Smith.
life.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
going.
So I mean, but most folks don't know that. You know, those of us of
I
a
find this hilarious right now.
but those of us of a certain age, or stay up in the middle of the night and watch it Nick on TV or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's was the Waltons, right? You know,
It's the Waltons.
Good Night, Grandpa, all this kind of great stuff. But
Grandpa.
that was filmed there, and they actually have a museum over there
Yeah.
to the Waltons on that end of it.
Not
But-
only that, we have a replica house.
You do?
Yep.
From the set,
Yep.
which is there now as well.
So it's a neat little thing. Google it. The
I will.
Waltons.
R.W. Maui. The Waltons, Jerry. Grace says, also that, Jerry. If you got any comments, put it in the feed. Put it in the feed. Wow, we got some. Let's not forget the Woodridge Farm Brewery.
yeah.
Jesse and
absolutely.
Gavin. You want to go with Woodridge Farm?
Beautiful.
I love
Yeah.
it. The owner walks around the property barefoot. You can
Barefoot
have a
Barry.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Barefoot Barry.
You could have some cold beers at the base of the Blue Ridge and have the most iconic scene ever at that
You
brewery.
can.
Show is yours. What do you think? What do you love about it?
It's a minute off of 29. The views are just wonderful when you get up there as well. My wife had a picture on her phone for probably a year, was her screensaver, that she took at dusk one night. Great beer, great food. It's really a great spot. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a 10 or 15 minute.
No, let's
thing.
keep going.
I just looked at my watch.
Yeah,
and
we're at the hour marker.
This is
The
awesome.
round tables are great.
I-
In-person round tables.
Oh yeah, without doubt. I thank you again. I've said this to you and Judah a couple of times. I'll say it again. Thank you for upping your game and getting this technology to the point. But to go back to the Shuyler thing, which I think something Jesse wants to kind of talk a little bit about. You guys are in the middle of a revitalization of their sewer system, right? That's
Correct.
That's a big deal.
We're actually doing a lot of ambitious things. We're not only fixing up the wastewater treatment facility as well as some of the lines going to it, just for not only just for the future, but also we want to be cautious of the environment, making sure we got good infrastructure in place, and we're going to be doing some huge investment in that. We're also fiber is going to be going into the Shuyler community this year.
Wow.
Which is huge. Yeah. So just to talk about the Shuyler community, because it's an undersold product, and since me getting in office, I wanted to make this a priority, not only because it's in my district, because it has a great opportunity. This particular area has an atmosphere unique to any other part of the state, because it was essentially mining territory. So you have these quarries that are acres wide and deep that you can look into, and you just see beautiful terraces of soapstone. I'm waiting for the first brewery to go hop in there called Soapstone Brews, because and put it right in the middle of a quarry, because it's got a whole different kind of atmosphere. You can have a house that has like this cavern, so to speak, right beside you, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Of course, coming with a product like Soapstone, which is renowned and has been in our households, and helped us get through World War II since like the early 1900s. But the thing is about real estate in Shuyler, you talk about affordability and the relative closeness to Charlottesville. That's next. Livingston and Shuyler are two very huge potential places. I mean, Shuyler real estate right now is very affordable, mostly because people don't really have. I would just say Route 6 stops them.
Sure.
Probably once you get to the Albemarle, get close to Esmont, it shuts off. And if you don't go past there, then you're headed to Scottsville. But this particular area, it's got the old mining town. It's got the old corporate housing that was built back in the 40s.
It was much before that.
Yes, you're right.
So
the
I have
early
some
1900s.
connection there to Shuyler, believe it or not.
Really?
Yona, my wife, actually managed the U.S. and Canadian operations for the Finnish company when they owned
Oh, wow.
it she did it as a consultant basis, I think, for about 10 years.
That's amazing.
So she used to travel to Skyler from Lake Monticello twice a day. And
Yeah.
there's some unique, if you've never wandered around that area,
Yeah.
you should do that. Historically, it's really, really neat. But at one point in time, the town of Schuyler had a larger population than the city of Charlottesville.
That's correct. It had a hospital. It
Yep.
had
I had no idea.
It had all
Pretty
the
neat,
amenities.
yeah.
No, this place was immune to the entire Depression because there were so many jobs. You know, I think it was several thousand jobs in this particular area. Basically, built this town around it, and that was the Afton in Nelson County of then. You know,
Well, it was
that-
a typical corporate town, right?
Yeah, it was a corporate town,
All
correct.
the homes are owned by the company.
The grocery store,
Country
the
store.
electric company.
They had their own doctors and hospitals.
Own water
It's a pretty
authority.
unique. If you ever have an opportunity, it's well worth the trip. Go catch a brewery, catch an adult cocktail, come and wander around there. You can potentially get this other stuff you were talking about.
Oh yeah, I mean it's going to be legal soon. Let's cut to the chase here. Amanda Spagoni, The Homecoming, the Waltons movie. It is one of those movies my mom made me watch and my sisters watch. She loves that movie.
Absolutely.
Here's something from Neil. From Free Enterprise Forum Choices and Decisions report, during the study period from 1998 to 2018, population increased at a rate of 15.22%, and school enrollment dropped by 13.42%. It is important to note the small enrollment size magnifies normal fluctuations in class size. Inflation adjusted per capita operating spending increased from $2,239 in 2018 to $2,924 10 years later, an increase of over 30%. So those are a lot of statistics right there.
You just threw a lot at me.
For a talk show from Neil. I would encourage
You lost
anybody
me.
to go to
I had
Free
this script.
Enterprise Forum. Go to the Free Enterprise Forum.
I got
for this
lost
report.
at 13.2.
Go to the Free Enterprise Forum for that report.
Thank you, Andy.
Can we highlight? This is an interesting question, Jesse.
Ready.
How do you work alongside Albemarle County to drive growth and economic activity to Nelson, considering we're neighbors?
Wow, great
Well,
question.
and I have, even though philosophically I've had my disagreements with Liz Palmer and Donna Price, we've always had a great relationship in terms of the interest of our counties. You know, we've had the conversation pieces of internet, and if there's some joint things that we may be able to do, you know, I think some other opportunities that we've had working with them is regional economics. I mean, a reality for Nelson County is, and I've said this on this show and I've said it at the TJPDC, when Charlottesville, you know, catches the cold, then Nelson County gets bronchitis because our farmers are supported by the economic investments of Albemarle and Charlottesville. Like many of your storefronts, a lot of their artisan stuff comes in foods and as well as bread come from the Nelson County area. And when they shut down, a lot of that changed and it had a huge impact on us. So having that good relationship is critical for us, you know, and, you know, making sure that these
Let's
restaurants.
get Gavin in on that.
Sure. We got about
conversation.
5 minutes left here.
We got 5 minutes
Yeah,
left.
5 minutes.
We
Probably 4 left.
We got a meeting. So
Yeah.
we're going to spend a little time, Gavin. So this is your opportunity, right? You know, we're everybody's now agreeing Nelson County is growing. This is
Sure.
a hot spot to go. You know, folks, get out there, reach out to Gavin,
Yeah.
reach out to them to help you go ahead and buy and sell out of there. But, you know, go ahead and talk a little bit about what you want to see happen in your business and happen in Nelson County in the next coming years, and we'll wrap up the show
Good
kind of a
question.
little bit
There
of
you
that.
I think people are, the trend, in my opinion, is that people are starting to see getting out of the city can be very beneficial, and that $250,000, $300,000 price tag in Nelson County, that might buy you an acre, that might buy you 10 acres. Depends on where you go. In the city or in the county, that could be a tough sale. You know, or something very difficult to
That's
find.
probably a condo, maybe a townhome in the city
Yes.
of Charlottesville. I'm going to cut to the
Maybe.
chase, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a
That's if
garage.
you're lucky.
Yeah, if
Yes,
you're lucky. Am I right
correct.
there?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was very hard for me, like I explained 20 years ago when I first moved here. I had a hard time with Nelson County because I was younger. I did not want to leave Austin. I was in a car accident and could not care for myself. So I was kind of forced here because my family had relocated. And that just became my reality. And as time went on, I learned to love the aspects of being a little bit outside of the city. And so that is one of the huge things I think that can drive sales in Nelson County is for people to explore that option. You're so close to everything. The businesses are there. And to put myself, to mock myself a little bit, based on my previous job, up until 2015, I actually did have a dial-up internet connection.
An actual dial-up.
An actual dial-up internet connection, yes. That was part of the requirement, and I'll spare you all the details.
At some point, people are going to ask that the same thing about fax machines. What is that?
Yes, I did have a high-speed connection at that point as well.
So you do real estate all over.
I do.
But you're kind of an expert on Nelson County because you've
Sure.
been there and doing this all the time. And everybody who's watching who's interested in buying and selling, I encourage you to reach out to Gavin and talk to him because, you got to kind of bring in an expert on an area. So please do that. Please reach out to him on that. I know we're coming up on a hard stop here. I wanted to take an opportunity and thank Jesse. Thank you for announcing on Real Talk.
Yeah.
Thank you for announcing on the I Love Charlottesville network. I can tell, this is show 48 actually. And I can tell when Jerry's feverishly typing, he's answering questions on the feed. So thank you so much for doing it. Thank you for coming on and announcing. You're always welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
Please come on.
Let's do roundtables every Tuesday and Friday.
I'm trying, sir. I'm trying to get that. Getting on people's schedules is a lot easier via Zoom than they are to get them to show up. So I'll let you wrap the show.
Zoom stinks. Let's cut to the chase.
Zoom sucks.
Yeah. Who doesn't have Zoom fatigue by now? I love the human connection of in person.
It's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
The only thing that stinks more than Zoom is Skype.
Yeah.
Just
and
being
we use Skype.
I know.
Judah.
Only reason why I've used Skype.
Damn it, Judah. I'm just joking, J-Dubs. J-Dubs keeps us in there. I got to say this. Judah Wickhauer is our director, and all this that you're seeing that's running smoothly is because of the man who you see the back of his head. How about a studio camera so we can see the back of your head right there, Judah, and we get a little wave up there. Jesse Rutherford and Gavin Sherwood crushed it. I will say this about Gavin Sherwood. He's A++ people. Christopher Ziegler, I completely agree. Gavin's great. 110% endorse this guy.
Thank you, Chris.
A trusted name in the game. He will go to the wall for his clients, and he will be the source of the source.
There you go.
Thank you,
Gavin
Jerry.
Sherwood of Yes Realty Partners. My friend, this was a fantastic roundtable today.
We only had a couple of bullet points, and look at all the fun we had.
Yes.
I'm working on more roundtables, folks.
Thank you for coming, Jesse.
No problem.
Thank you,
y'all.
Gavin.
Thank you, Jerry.
Keith Smith, fantastic program.
Mr. Miller.
Real
Outstanding.
Talk, presented by the Yes Team Realtors and Yes Realty Partners, Tuesdays and Fridays at 10:15 a.m. on the I Love Seville Network. We'll cut up part of this interview and play it at 12:30 today on the I Love Seville show, guys. You have a fantastic morning, and remember to keep it local here in Central Virginia. Take care. Dude,
This is it.
excellent.
Well done, guys.
Excellent.